changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration. It's Friend Friday, which means we get to talk to someone very special from the Chicken Soup for the Soul family. And today that person is Alex Kajitani, who is one of the best-known teachers in America. I was honored to meet Alex back in 2010 when we published a book called Chicken Soup for the Soul Teacher Tales. Alex was the 2009 California Teacher of the Year and one of 4 finalists for National Teacher of the Year. And he was already well known by then as the rappin' mathematician. But we'll talk about that a little later. Suffice it to say that 15 years ago, Alex was a struggling new teacher in one of California's poorest neighborhoods. He'd left a lucrative career in restaurant management to pursue his dream of being a teacher. But he found his inner-city students were unmotivated, unengaged, uninterested in the math he was teaching them. So he figured out how to turn his classrooms around. Now imagine this, and you'll see it if you look him up on the internet. A half-Jewish, half-Japanese man bravely doing math raps in front of his inner-city audience. And you can see why he was such a hit, with the CBS News and others covering him. You can watch Alex's math raps on his website. You can see the books he's written for teachers. You can get in touch with him to find out about his motivational speaking. He's a bullying prevention expert who travels around the country speaking at education conferences. And Alex is representing Chicken Soup for the Soul now, too. He's helping us spread the word about our own bullying prevention program, which is called Chicken Soup for the Soul Hallway Heroes. And he actually stars in our training video for teachers. So Alex is talking to us today from Southern California. And Alex, thank you so much for coming on our podcast today.
Oh, thank you, Amy. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
So I met you when we put together our book that was called Chicken Soup for the Soul Teacher Tales, which was so cool because in that book, I ended up getting stories from all of the state teachers of the year, including from Alex, who was my favorite, I must admit, with his raps and all of that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that story that you wrote for our Teacher Tales book? And then also tell us, what was it like to become the California Teacher of the Year? That was really a huge honor coming from such a huge state.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, like you said, it was several years ago. I was a brand new teacher, just absolutely really struggling to survive in my classroom. And, I couldn't get my students to pay attention, and I couldn't get them to sit still in their seats, and I certainly couldn't get them to remember the math rule that, I had just taught them a few minutes ago. But what I realized is that a rap song would come out on Monday, and by Tuesday they seemed to have every single word memorized. And so one day I thought, okay, I'm going to, write my own rap song about the math that I was teaching. And so we were studying adding and subtracting decimals, and I wrote a song called The Itty Bitty Dot about the decimal point. Just line up the dot and give it all you got. And it was an absolute disaster. The students completely laughed at me and were rolling on the floor laughing. And so I thought, okay, that went horribly. But the next day, they actually ran excitedly into my classroom. I think they actually ran into my classroom with the same amount of energy that they normally ran out of my classroom with. And they were begging for more math raps. And, of course, at the end of the week, their test scores absolutely shot through the roof. And so it was actually the other teachers who came to me and said, you've got to record these onto CDs so that the rest of us can use them. And long story short, the CDs are now being used pretty much all over the world and in homes and classrooms to kind of engage students in math and make math cool. And like you said, they've been featured on the CBS Evening News and all over the place. And it's just really been a fantastic journey to really help kids connect math with things that are cool and fun and really engaging.
So just give us a few lines of one of your raps, because I really want everybody to go and see these online, but just give us a little preview.
Well, one of the favorite ones of students is I used to do it before we'd take a test. And it would go, well, take that math book off the shelf. It's time for your brain to express itself. Don't matter if you're black, don't matter if you're white, Latino, or Asian. Yo, we all tight. You know I am the best at solving for X. I might drive a Honda Civic, but you drive a BMX. What time is it? It's test time. What time is it? It's test time. And I tell you, I still cannot walk across campus without some kid shouting out, hey, Mr. Kajitani, what time is it? And, of course, I always have to yell back, it's test time.
That is so funny.
Yeah, and so you had asked about the California Teacher of the Year, too. Opportunity. And yeah, that was amazing. You know, I back in 2009, I got to represent the state of California as their Teacher of the Year, and then went on to be named as one of the top 4 finalists for National Teacher of the Year. And that was just an amazing opportunity just to really represent the profession. I mean, I am by no means, you know, the best teacher out there, absolutely not. But what it was an opportunity to represent teachers and to speak on behalf of teachers. And so I got lots of opportunities to travel around the country, which I'm, you know, still doing now all the time, is traveling around the country and talking to teachers, talking to parents. I even talk now to companies about teaching and leadership and how they can train employees to be good leaders and teachers within their companies. And you know what's interesting really is that as I talk to teachers across the country, I always ask them, what is your biggest challenge with teaching math now? And overwhelmingly, they say, so many of our students don't know their times tables. And so, you know, we have to choose whether we focus on, you know, teaching the times tables and then we don't get to our curriculum, or we really have trouble teaching our curriculum. And so, you know, because the students are not learning their times tables with, you know, sort of automaticity. And so, you know, I really took that to heart, and I actually created a program at multiplicationnation.com where all students can learn their times tables in a really engaging and effective way, you know, really without the stress on them or their parents. And I mean, I've been an algebra teacher for 10 years, and I know that if students show up to algebra class and they're struggling with their times tables, they really have a hard time in class. And so, you know, we know from research that students who pass algebra are much more likely to go on to college, and students who fail algebra are much more likely to drop out of school completely. And really, over the course of a lifetime, a college graduate earns about $1 million more than a high school dropout. And so I know there's a lot of parents and teachers out there listening. I highly encourage you, if you're going to do one thing to help your kids with math, is just, you know, make sure they learn those times tables, because it's really it's like the reading of English class. It's the foundation which helps them progress to higher levels. So, you know, whether you use Multiplication Nation or just good old flash and flashcards or whatever, I really encourage teachers and parents to make sure those kids know their times tables.
That's a great message for all of us in the summer getting ready for the new school year. And actually, even for those of us who are long out of school, have grown children, I think I could use a refresher on the times tables. Multiplicationnation.com. I might just drop in there for a few minutes.
I think you should, and if you don't call me, I'd be happy to come over and quiz you on your flashcards. But no, that Multiplication Nation, it's just really cool because it's online, and it's an online interactive program. So I'm up there. You know, it's like having the California Teacher of the Year come into your living room and work with your kids one-on-one. And so it's got the engagement, and it's, you know, they understand not just the times tables, but what multiplication is, how to use it in the world. And, you know, I'll go in there and I will sit, you know, in front of your kid and teach them the times tables and make sure they do it. And, you know, I won't leave until they do. So it's, again, just a way of getting kids engaged in math and getting them that incredibly important foundational skill that they need in order to progress to higher levels of math.
That is really good. And then we're so excited because what happened for us was we have our new bullying prevention program, which is based on Chicken Soup for the Soul stories, which teachers have always used in the classroom informally, but now we've created a literacy-based, meaning a reading and writing-based, formal curriculum using our stories and teaching kids great values where if they incorporate these values into their lives, tolerance, respect, compassion, kindness, it just crowds out any potential bullying behavior. And you were my first pick. They came to me, our bullying people came to me, and they said, who would you want to be the one to be our spokesperson in this, to do our teacher training? And I said, Alex Kajitani.
That's right.
And then I was so excited that you were available, and you've made this very entertaining video for us to use in our teacher training for our Hallway Heroes program. And I know you're going to be doing some public speaking about how to prevent bullying on behalf of Chicken Soup for the Soul. So tell me what you're doing in that area, because even though it's under my publishing group, I have such competent people running it that I'm not really totally up to date on what you're doing with us.
Yeah, so I mean this is just such an exciting opportunity, and I'm just so excited to work with Chicken Soup and with the Hallway Heroes program. And you know what I love about it is you said it's a literacy-based anti-bullying program. And, you know, one of sort of my philosophies of teaching really is that we've got to stop trying to take curriculum and forcing it into the students' lives. And instead, we need to take the students' lives and what's important to them and put it into the curriculum. And that is a huge shift that changes everything. And that's exactly what this program has done. You know, we're not taking sort of theoretical situations and making students, you know, pretend to act out how they would respond in certain situations and things like that. But we're taking real situations. We're taking real stories that have been, you know, shown, illustrated in the Chicken Soup books and things like that. But we're taking real situations from real students and real parents and the real teachers who teach them. And then we're taking that and putting the lessons into what they're already studying. We're putting those into the reading lessons, into, you know, the writing lessons and things like that. And so we're not adding curriculum. We're not adding things that students and teachers need to do. We're putting it into what they're already doing. So it's got engagement, it's got meaning, and it really are the real situations that I think kids face. You know, some of the situations are bullying situations that kids have always faced. But then we're also sort of boldly going into, you know, cyberbullying and the often confusing issue of cyberbullying and exploring, you know, what it is and how we can prevent it. And really, I think prevention is one of the main tenets of this program that I love so much, which is, you know, what if we really focus on the social and the emotional well-being of our kids and producing kids who are confident within themselves and don't need to go out and bully. And if and when the situation arises, they have the language and they have the capacity and the confidence to articulate what they need to do and who they need to tell and how to handle those situations, which they learn as kids and then grow into confident, capable adults as well. And so I'm just really excited to be part of this program. And then like you said, my specific role is going to be, you know, really working with educators and talking to teachers and doing the training programs on how they can successfully implement this literacy-based program into the day, into the lessons that they're already doing, into the school day, to really help the kids with you know, what is really one of the most important subjects and issues in all of school.
And we're getting orders for the program now for Chicken Soup for the Soul Hallway Heroes. We're very fortunate because we're doing the program in partnership with the Boniek Foundation, which is this amazing foundation that is working very hard to promote tolerance and respect and compassion, starting with the kids, which is where you need to start. It's we're working closely with Dr. Milton Boniek, who is the founder of the Boniek Foundation, along with his wife, Lori. And because of their involvement and their sponsorship, it's a very well-priced program for the schools, so it's a very affordable way for the schools to bring in a proactive anti-bullying program. Instead of reacting to bullying, they can try to stop those behaviors before they start. Well, Alex, it's really great to talk to you today. I'm so excited that we're working with you, and I know I'll get to see you at some point on the road over the next year. And I'm really happy that you were able to join us today. If you want to learn more about Alex, visit his website at Alex Kajitani, that's KAJITANI.com. And if you want to learn more about our books for teachers and our bullying prevention program, visit our website, chickensoup.com, and press on the education button. I'm Amy Newmark. Thank you for joining us today. And the next time we get together, I'm going to give you a sneak preview of our newest book, one that's coming out later this month, all about the power of gratitude and how you can teach yourself to use thankfulness to change your life.